Hey, book babes, you're listening to Naughty Narratives, your weekly dose of hot takes, plot twists, and unfiltered book talk with your favorite romance obsessed besties, Maddie and Kyla.
Hey,
Hi.
everybody.
Um, welcome to episode 2.
Do you want to tell them what you did?
We started this episode and got I don't know, a quarter of the way through it, and I looked up and I never hit record. So we're literally starting over an episode that we have now tried to record a couple of times, and this last time is entirely my fault. Oh, I can't believe I did that.
Oh, that's amazing. All right. Well, welcome to episode 2.
Episode 2, part 2 of Onyx Storm. Feels like we've never left this book.
We haven't. At this point, we haven't.
Oh man, I can't believe I did that. That is so bad. So we left off with Indarna meeting the Arids.
Yes.
And then they fly back to Navarre and meet with General Atos and give him the rundown. They're lucky they don't get charged for insert treasonous crime here.
Yeah.
For stealing a prince who was already on the run pretty much. And then they go to Erasia. And there's a lot of stuff in between, but
right.
They go to Erasia to do their rounds of study there. And they really hit in on Violet being bad at warding during her time at Erasia. And we kind of talked about this, I think, in episode 1 about how it seems strange that she's so smart and so knowledgeable, but this is the one thing that she's really bad at.
I think we did touch on it because I remember bringing up Kat being good at it as well. And I find that funny because you know that it's just something that ticks Violet off.
All of them. Yeah. And then we talked about her being dedicated to Dune, and how it's weird that her father would do that when it's not practiced anymore.
Right.
And that's what brings us to the fight in Erasia, specifically with her being told to stay outside the Temple of Dune, that she has to be there, which I thought was interesting. We don't know Aric's ability yet. I mean, at this point, we could kind of guess because that was weird AF. Any thoughts on that?
It was bothering me that she kept ignoring Eric, because there was another point in time when she had ignored him previously, and I don't really, excuse me for not knowing exactly what happened at that point in time because it's been a minute since we read it, but I do remember it bothering me that she wasn't taking him seriously. And I also found it kind of weird. I mean, I understood that she was worried about other things, but it's unlike her to not take into account what her teammates are saying to her, you know?
Right. I also found that strange too, because I mean, she was so worried about him not having a signet yet when he's telling her things that he shouldn't know,
right?
She's just like, gosh, Arik, shut up. I have other things going on. And you're like, girl.
And it's just, she's so far removed from that situation and in her own world with things that she doesn't even, stop and realize that he shouldn't know those things.
Right.
It doesn't click.
No, it doesn't, which is crazy. And I know you mentioned to me that this was one of your favorite scenes in the book. The fight outside the temple.
honestly, the entire end scene was kind of
the whole back half of it.
I enjoyed a lot of it. I really enjoyed I I didn't love the switching of the POVs. I think that other people should have gotten more time than what they did. I also just personally wouldn't have chose. I like Rye, but not who I would have chosen as a POV personally.
Yeah, I know we've talked about this a bunch privately, but Riddick had so much book time, like page time, that it was almost disappointing to not get his point of view at the end of the book, because you were almost anticipating it when it started switching points of view.
Right.
You were like, "Oh, where's my boy Riddick?" Which would have been epic. You know, his point of view would have been funny.
It would have been hysterical, and I think we all could have used that at a point in time when most of us were sobbing.
Facts. Mira's death literally ripped me to shreds. Or her near death. I was literally sobbing in bed next to Christopher while I was listening to that, and there was just nothing I could do. Like, I was just like, this, because if I woke him up, it would be like, "Why are you doing this to yourself?"
Oh yeah,
you
100%.
did this to yourself.
100%. Alex is just normally he was in the other room playing video games, and he could just hear me. I couldn't hear him reacting to what I was saying. Apparently he was talking to me, but I had headphones on.
Oh, that's funny.
And I was just reacting loudly to all the things happening in the book. I was also pacing. I was standing and pacing while reading the last chapters.
There was a couple of times when I was listening and like the kids were playing in the living room, and I'd just be like sitting there just staring. I usually scroll on Facebook. I'm not actually looking at anything on Facebook, but I'd be scrolling on Facebook, and then I'd drop my phone and I'd just be like, and nobody would know what was happening to me. And I was just like dumbfounded. I was like, "Oh my God." But
Mira's death, Taryn getting hurt again.
Yeah, the
it's just
Zayden situation.
Zayden doing what he did for Skull, say however you pronounce her name. The blue one.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, and Darna left, and we thought our hearts got ripped out then.
and I had a feeling that she was going to make it back, but I honestly didn't think we'd see her again until the next book.
I also thought that. I was like, there's no way that this is the end of Indarna's story. But we must see her again in book 4, which also irritates me, because I was like, I don't want to wait over a year for book 4, but like, whatever, I guess I don't have a choice. But then she came back a lot earlier than I anticipated.
Yeah. But it does beg the question of, it does for me at least, of, is time different for her, or was it different for her with all of the Irids than it was for Violet and Taryn being, in the real world, or in comparison to where she was at?
Yeah, she wasn't gone for very long.
No.
I can't remember the exact timeline, but I don't even think it was a week.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, I thought that was I was shocked to see her come back when she did, for sure. I mean, thankful, but
right.
I don't think, as much as Violet is strong and capable of withstanding that, I don't think she would have been able to with Zayden being gone too. I think that
I
was
agree.
too much for her. I mean, her just Violet being, or just Indarna being gone, was almost too much for her.
Right. Well, I mean, that also begged, like, had we have actually lost Mira, there were a lot of situations where I didn't see our girl Violet getting back up.
Yeah, I mean, as any normal person, though, like, my sister has just got brutally murdered in front of me.
Yep.
And I couldn't save her. And then, or after my dragon left, like, which I'm not supposed to survive anyway.
The way that they described her hitting her knees and just like shattering was so heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I feel everybody has probably felt that way in some way, shape, or form, point in time in their life. And I mean, I related to it myself, but that for me was a huge. I love how descriptive Rebecca Yarros is. That's one of the big things I love about reading her books is you genuinely feel what your characters are feeling.
Yes.
I enjoy that about her books.
I do too. I love that it's not, you're not playing in emotions that aren't there. Like
Right.
you literally feel how they feel. She does a very good job of describing their emotional state of being, which is also scary because she's really good at making you cry.
I know. And I have a feeling that's not going to get any better with the next book.
No, I think it's going to get so much worse.
Mhm.
I am expecting some serious death. I feel like this book prepared us for major characters to die in the next one. Like we lost
I
Quinn, and that was,
swear to God.
I know. We lost Quinn, and that was super hard. But I think we're gonna lose somebody big. If it's Zayden, Violet, or Riddick,
I swear
I
to God.
might not pick up the book
I
again.
was going to say, I refuse to believe if Riddick dies. For whatever reason, Zayden, I can somewhat. He can't die, but if he's Venom forever, he's Venom forever. I've kind of come to make peace with that. Honestly, Violet, take him out to the islands, do with him what you need, and then bring him back. You know, do your thing every few days. But I don't want to lose Riddick. No,
or any of the dragons.
But truly, you can't take Liam and then take Quinn. You can't take Riddick on top of that. I refuse to believe. You took half of Sawyer. Like
more like
a quarter. Okay, we cannot. No.
I still have not emotionally recovered from the death of Liam, so I could not imagine losing another one of the best friends like that. Like I just can't.
There are posts on TikTok that make me cry every time that I see them, and they're
literally
always about Liam. So
literally every single time, and it's always about Liam, and it's always heartbreaking in some way.
And I always sit there and think, man, this is heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Like, it's a freaking character in a book.
Yeah, like, and I mourned him almost like if he was a best friend. Like, yeah, she does a very good job of that.
Very good.
She's got a book, The Last Letter, I think it's called. And it's supposed to be a really, really good read, but it's also supposed to be one that rips your heart out emotionally. And I just don't know if I can handle it. Like, I want to read it because it's supposed to be that good, but I'm also like, I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah. We'll have to put it on the list.
You know, one thing which I'm kind of surprised that neither one of us talked about in episode 1 is how, I mean, so I know Rebecca herself has EDS, so I know that she understands the chronic illness world very well, but I loved how much Violet still shows the, like, the dizziness, the exhaustion. We're both chronically ill, so that made us relate to Violet, I think, a lot more. And it's not like she's like, oh, I can just power through, and she has like no symptoms.
No, God, no. I really enjoy that, and I think that just kind of goes back to her being able to write and describe her characters and what they're feeling so well. Because, I mean, granted, she's writing Violet from probably a pretty first-person view perspective, you know, and I don't know. As two people who do deal with what we do, I mean, I go to work daily. I work a 9 to 5, essentially. You work a 9 to 5, and most days it is like dragging my body across a bed of nails to get up and go to work. So the fact that this bitch can get on a dragon
and
fight and break bones and get these fractures and still, you know, just keep moving. It's intense. It's badass. It's, I don't know. There's certain aspects when you kind of have to sit back sometimes and be like, Violet wouldn't be bitching about this right now.
Yeah, for sure. But I think as somebody who deals with my own chronic illness, like the way she's written, and I'm like, I just look at it and I'm like, you know, if Violet can do it, even when she's feeling as shitty as she is, like I can do it. Like when I get really dizzy, dizziness is because there was a lot of that in this book where she was like super dizzy, and Zayden's like, "Do you need to sit down or whatever?" And I'm just like, anytime I get really dizzy, I'm like, Violet would sit her ass down right now. Violet would. This.
I do the same thing. I am frequently one who likes to push themselves a little bit further than what they should, and especially with my POTS, it's the pre-syncope is something that gets me big time frequently. So
right,
I'm right there with you on that one. I just enjoy that she, I don't know, wrote a character that is as outgoing as she is with still having chronic illness, because a lot of the time what we see in the actual day-to-day is people, you know, shutting themselves in, not working, not going out on these adventures because they don't feel like they can.
Right. So. Yeah. And which this isn't super relatable, as we both know, but I just love how supportive everybody is. Like everybody's like right there with Violet, trying to help her in every way they can, take what they can off her plate. And we both know that that's not how the real world works. Holy hell, I'll get there eventually. But I love that she has that support.
Right. I agree. It was really cool to see how they all came together for Sawyer too when he lost his leg.
Oh yeah, and they encouraged him to get back up on his dragon.
And everybody cheered him on when he finally did.
Yes, which is exactly how it should be.
I agree.
Yeah. I loved that. I that whole scene of him getting back up on his dragon, and then Riddick being like, "Oh, I'm gonna hug you or something, whatever." And then he's like, "Oh," from afar, because Sawyer's dragon was all pissy about it. It really makes their whole team that much more dynamic.
Yep. What about where? Ow! Release my arm, you demon! You're mean. Anyways,
cats, man.
Yeah, God, she does this every time almost. I swear, at least once a week while we're filming, she hops in here and I try and give her loves, and then I end up being injured in the process of it. So, where do you think Sigel made the decision to go with Xaden, and if so, do you think that she is completely cut off from Taryn?
I do. Yeah, I think she went with Xaden to help keep his what little sanity, what little soul, whatever he has left intact. But I only think she made that choice because she's the reason he went full venom.
Right.
We expected it to be Violet, but it wasn't. It was her, and I think that's the only reason that she's gonna try to save him.
Right. And I wonder if that is maybe what everybody is missing, myself included. Are we expecting Violet to be his saving grace, but it is actually Sigel?
That would be a twist. I would love that. That would be different and not what I was expecting.
I mean, I don't know. It would definitely be a different way to go with things, but I agree. I think it would be interesting to see what kind of an ending we would get with that being the reasoning there.
Right. I have one for you. Who do you think the new brother is? We talked about this at length.
We have talked about this at length, and I'm still honestly going back and forth with it being between Garrick and Bodhi. And I mean, we've kind of discussed our reasoning behind both. I mean, at one point in time, we see Bodhi on all fours, down on the ground, vomiting or, convulsing, whatever it is that he is doing there. And some people say thought that was maybe him taking too much power. And then we have weird moments with Garrick and him pushing himself with his new ability or his second signet that we all just learned about. So I don't know. I'm still kind of in the middle. I would love to hear what everybody else's thoughts are on it. I think, honestly, I'm on board with it being Garrick just because out of the two of them, that is who I want it to be. Which is horrible, but
if you had to pick, see, and I think it's Garrick. Rebecca did that interview before Onyx Storm came out, where she said that if she were to have a signet, she would be a distance and time wielder.
Right.
And they were like one signet, like you wielded time and distance. And then we find that Garrick is a distance wielder, which means he should be able to affect time too. And I also just don't see him staying up on the top of the cliff when he had enough power for one more jump.
Right.
I couldn't see him staying at the top of the cliff watching Xaden lose it.
I don't. Yeah.
And how would Bodhi have gotten down there? His dragon certainly wouldn't have taken him down there, not knowing that that's what he was going to do.
No, absolutely not. I still think it begs the question with all of these people. I mean, I know that we haven't seen it affect a dragon yet, where, besides where it kind of affects Seagal's and Terran's relationship, but we have not seen a Venom rider physically affect a dragon. And I am curious if at some point it will. Because in my head, at least, you would think that would affect their bond, or at least their ability to communicate, or maybe their ability to draw power from them. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. There could be nothing like that ever brought into the book. But
did I misunderstand the end of Iron Flame when Xaden becomes Venom, that he snaps his bond with Scale and she
maybe you're
to be with him because he isn't full Venom yet?
Maybe you're right.
I also could be wrong.
It's been a while since I picked up Iron Flame, but I do vaguely remember what you are talking about. I'm just curious more, I guess, if in the long run being there with them is going to affect them more.
Right. Well, and we've never really seen the effects of a venom on a dragon, like other than being drained, because Jack died,
right,
and then we think he was, I don't know. I don't understand exactly how Jack came to fruition.
I don't know.
She dropped the fucking mountain on him.
I know. And there's if you want, TikTok and things, there's all these different theories out there that he was Venom the entire time, and which I just don't believe. I don't know. I don't feel like he would have gotten even up to the parapet with Xaden standing there if he was even in the slightest bit Venom.
True, because Xaden would have been able to read his
right.
Well, but Xaden only reads intentions. He doesn't read necessarily minds.
But if you're, more than likely anyways, especially if you don't know that he's, is intrinsic? Is that what
Something like that. We're real good with words tonight.
I know it's Monday, but if you don't know that Xaden has that power, then you're not going to hide your intentions from him. As a Venom, you're probably thinking, what's my next move here? So you'd think that he would have at least gotten some kind of a feeling towards him. And the only one who ever has that feeling, has that issue with him, is really Violet. So.
Right. Which, to be fair, she held a knife up to Jack's balls and was like, stop fucking around with me or I'm taking them. But also, he tried to push her off the parapet, or was trying to. So, I don't know. That whole how Jack became an enemy thing, I feel like, is almost crazy. But he's almost like a weird frenemy in this one.
I know. I didn't really enjoy it. I felt like I swear to God, he cannot be an enemies to lovers. There's no way. I refuse.
We already had an enemies to lovers with Dane as far as readership goes. I can't. Yeah. What was I gonna say? Not that you know. I don't know why I'm asking you. I can't freaking remember. Oh, we had this question. I had it in all caps on my notes. Where the fuck is Broccoli?
Yeah, where is I would like to know.
Wait, wouldn't we all? I
mean, I think all of us are going to be collectively upset if Broccoli is not at least making an appearance in the next book.
Yeah. He's like everybody's best friend now. And which is bizarre because he only shows up on the page like a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I saw all of the Broccoli memes before I had even gotten to that part in Onyx Storm. So I really thought Broccoli had much more of an appearance in the book. No. Like I was prepared for like this little cat to become Mira's best fucking friend. And he's mentioned like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, I mean, I'm down for it. I get it. I get the fandom.
Yeah. I think it's friggin' hilarious. I mean, he definitely matches the orange tabby cat description. So.
For sure. And I don't have orange cats. I couldn't imagine if I did because my cats fight each other all day long. Like they haven't lived together, so I couldn't imagine throwing an orange one in the mix.
I grew up with orange cats. I had a pair of them growing up, and they were a handful. They got out all the time too. Like they just were escape artists, and they're still kicking. They're like 15 years old. They're still living at my mom's house. So
that's funny. I love how cats either like die at a normal age or they
like outlive everybody. Yeah.
There's no in between. There's there's no cat that's like lives for a reasonable amount of time. No, they all die. They're like they are hairless. They barely walk. This is so off topic.
I love it.
This is how our brains work. We are fully dedicated to Onyx Storm and talking about it, but we are also dedicated to our cats.
True. You go watch me get bit like 10 minutes ago.
It'll happen again.
Yeah, I probably will. I kind of wanted to touch on, I know that we know that it was Imogen who took her memory, but do we think that it was per her, or, well, we hear that it's per her request. We know that it's Imogen who did it. Do we really think that it was fully Violet's request, or was this something that she and Xaden bickered about and then ultimately just came to a huffy puffy decision that she would lose her memory?
I love that. I am actually going to throw a different suggestion into the mix. I think Arik had a lot to do with it because he's missing.
Okay.
So I think he probably was like, you need to not know where Xaden is. Like, it's super important that you don't remember this as much as sad as that is.
Okay. Do you think that Eric went with Xaden?
No, I think he took the dragon eggs and is going to Umbriel. I don't know where Xaden went, but I imagine not Umbriel.
That's a good question, though. Where does everybody think Xaden went? So I'm actually a little curious to what everybody's thoughts on that are.
Yeah, I mean, there's no hint at all possible of where he could have gone.
Where is he disappearing to? Is he going to meet his sage? Is that what he's called?
Yeah.
Or, is he hightailing it in the opposite direction? Like, I'm curious. So
I don't know which podcast it was. I'm gonna have to find them so I can give them a shout out or something. But they were talking about Garrick and Xaden, and specifically about them possibly being half brothers. And the reason why is because during the poisoning scene, Talia says, "You poisoned my son," but we know Xaden wasn't poisoned. And Garrick was. At that point, it was like established who was poisoned and who wasn't. And the guy was like, I had to do what I had to do, whatever. And she's like, I can't believe you would poison my son. And we know that her whole relationship was a contract, whatever. Right. And maybe they don't even know that. Maybe they don't even know that they're brothers. But that was also brought up as to why Xaden refers to them as the brother at the end, is maybe he does know that Garrick is his brother. Full circle.
Okay. Then who's Garrick's dad? And what's the timeline on that one? Was she, I mean...
Yeah, because they're got to be close in age, right?
Yeah, I mean, because they're both third years, aren't they? Well, no, I mean, Xaden's graduated. He's a fucking professor.
Yeah.
So, and Garrick is a third year? I think he's a third year, technically. That would put them pretty close in age still, but that makes you kind of wonder what the timeline was on that.
Also, we would kind of make you, well, Xaden would have to know because his mom would have gotten pregnant, but like,
right.
It makes you really wonder why nobody else knows, other than I guess it's Tyrandor, and they were pretty secretive about their family lines from what it sounds like.
That's true. But you would think with the Ryorson family being known that people would kind of make it their like job to know his history and his line. I don't know.
You would think, but then Scale chose her writer, and we know that that's his grandson. So, yeah, Xaden was his grandson.
That's true.
So, lots of questions. I cannot believe that we have to wait an entire year for book 4.
A year is on the low side of things. I've been seeing 2.
A year. I'm gonna continue to say a year,
and we are hoping and praying.
Yeah, get it together, Rebecca. A year.
I mean, I'm sure that there's other people who do relate to this, but I genuinely, there has not been a single day since reading this book that I haven't thought about it since I closed
this is my Roman Empire. Like, yeah. I have more questions than answers, and I won't ever get answers.
Truly. Like, you know how a man thinks about sex at least every 7 seconds? That's me with this fucking book. I just want to know what's going on.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have so many like theories that I've heard, and like I'm constantly seeing them on TikTok, and I'm like, ooh, Is that a good? No, that's not a good.
I
Like
know
I
we're
know
always sending them back and forth.
right. I know we touched on a little bit about the Menders, Brennan and Nolan. Yeah. One of them's got to be Venom or something,
right?
Somehow, and like I just think it's the whole series for her very first fantasy novel. She's done a fantastic job.
I didn't know that this is her first fantasy novel.
Yeah, she's only ever done contemporary romances before.
Good job, Miss Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
And
that's pretty amazing.
It is super amazing. Like I think that's incredible. She did a really good job world building. And for all the haters out there who say that the book is hard to understand or follow, I just think that you're too involved in all the little details. Like the names of everybody. Like that's the constant thing I hear all the time is that there's too many new names. And I'm constantly sitting there going, she refused to learn their names last year. So that's why it feels like everybody's new.
And I mean, a lot of people I feel like focus on the fact that they can't pronounce a lot of the names and words that are in the book. And I
make shit up.
Just move past it. Pronounce it how it sounds good in your head, or go on TikTok and find the people who are posting the dragons' names because they're Gaelic or Scottish Gaelic. Go do some damn research before you just shit on something for just because you don't understand it.
Yeah, and the one thing is like even people were trashing on the whole Liam having ice powers in book 1, and she said, "Oh, it was a misprint," and everybody's like, "But was it?" No, it wasn't. Now that we're in book 3, we know that it wasn't. So I think everybody needs to calm down and chill out and realize that book 4 will probably answer a lot of their questions.
Well, I hope so, but book 3 we thought the same thing, and here we are.
I mean, yeah.
So
fuck, you're right. My point being is don't focus so much on the stuff like the map. I can't tell you how many times we heard about the map and how we don't know where all these places are.
Right.
So
dude, I did not. It's Onyx Storm. Most of her books come with a map in the front of it if you buy the physical copy. I cannot. I don't sit there and do you know one singular person who would look at that and go back and forth between the very front page of the map and like, yes, at certain points I might be like, huh, that's weird. Where is that again? And I'll go look. But most of the time, I look at that bitch once in the beginning when I'm trying to find the first page, and I don't fucking look at it again.
I'm the worst. And I will never, ever, ever create a map for any of my fantasy novels. And the whole reason why is because me as a reader, I look at that and go, yeah, I don't know what the fuck I need that for. And I just read. I don't care where it's located. Like, I don't give a shit about that in the plot. Like, you could be like, yeah, Navarre is south. And then the very next chapter be like, Navarre is actually north. And I'd be like, oh, I probably read it wrong. Like,
right.
And I realize there are people out there that are so in depth and want everything to be perfect. But the reality of it is like, fuck, how long is that book? 700 pages, something like that.
700 pages, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's bound to be at least one mistake. And honestly, who has the time? Like, why are you sitting here going, oh, we haven't heard of that place? Yeah. It's book 3, and she's traveling to a bunch of new isles. Of course, you haven't heard that place before. Chill out.
Yep. It's all about taking a step back and realizing, like, you got to see the big picture.
Yeah. Not everything needs to be focused so small on the little tiny, minute details of it.
Right.
And maybe that's because I'm more of a mood reader. Like, I'll read just about anything you throw in front of me. But just about, there are some things I won't read, as you know. But don't put a history book in front of me. I'm not reading it. I'm gonna fall asleep. And by history book, I mean like an autobiography of
Right.
somebody.
Yes.
Hold up, back up. I am intelligent. It's okay. No, I just can't with these people who are like, this fantasy novel is not realistic enough for me. I'm like, this fantasy novel is perfect because it's not realistic.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Do you want realistic? Go fucking step out your front door. Don't come talk to me about my dragon book not being realistic enough. What the fuck?
The dragons who talk to one another and the magic, it's just not
Literally,
realistic
like,
enough. I'm sorry.
We're
I
all trying to
purposefully read
escape
this
from
genre.
reality. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch base on? Because we've kind of gone off the rails and just ranting now.
I know. I think, honestly, that's about it. I think we kind of covered everything we wanted to cover. I think
we did. I wanted to kind of let our readers know a couple of things before we sign off here. One, we have a new website, naughtynarrativespodcast.com. Go check it out. You can see the episodes should be linked up there once we actually release episodes. Because we're pre-recording. There'll be the authors that we're currently reading. So we have 4 listed up there. And if you click on the author's name, it'll link you to the author's website. So you can check out their stuff and what they're currently writing. And all of our social medias are all there. You can also, at the very bottom, suggest a book that you want us to read. And we will take your suggestions and throw them in our TBR, which already has way too many books on it, but maybe we'll read yours. Who knows? Especially if you're a small indie author, we would love to read your book. And then on our website, there's a link to my website as an author, and I have gone ahead and done a Naughty Narratives discount code. So if you use the code NN for Naughty Narratives and then BC for book club, you'll get 10% off your total order, and that includes all of my arts and crafts stuff as well. The crochet that I've been working on, and the novel. Oh, I'm dropping stuff.
The crochet that she's always. Please hold on. There's another that she's working on.
Literally, I have a market coming up this weekend, so I'm
fun
prepping. Anything else to add? Oh,
should we tell them what book we're reading?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. You want to tell them what book we're reading next?
I could, but I don't remember the name of it.
So episode 3 is going to be for H.D. Carlton's Does It Hurt? And the reason Maddie can't remember is because we've already recorded the episode.
I'm so sorry.
Yep. We have some very hot takes on that book. It was a very good episode to record, a lot of fun.
That one was fun.
So please read and come with your thoughts, because we do have a poll at the end of that one for everybody to answer. And then the book after that we're reading is Feathers So Vicious from the Court of Ravens duology.
Yes, very good so far. I am enjoying it that much, I will say. I'm only about 10 pages in, but it's good.
Yes, it gets better. I don't know when I'm going to have time to finish that book, but I'll find time.
I know.
All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful rest of your day.
We will see you next time.